Mr. Chairman, I wonder if it'd be, I have to be at Central Police Headquarters at 5 to 10 for a speech regarding support our troops. And it may be helpful to get my background on 4.1. Can we just do the 4.1 delegation request that I can leave? If that's okay with Councillor Moore?
Is your concurrence with members of agreed?
Sure.
Okay. Item 4 is the delegation request. Members of the committee, you have before you 3 delegation requests. One is for today's meeting with respect to the 2014 development charges. The other 2 requests are for future meetings should they be approved. The first request is from Norm Dorr, who wishes to appear before the committee on June the 18th to provide an update on the lapel cameras for police officers. Could I call upon Councillor Lloyd Ferguson, the chair of the Police Services Board, to perhaps assist us in the direction of that request?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for moving this up so I can move on to my other event. But the Mr. Dorr, this is just for the information of committee, and it clearly is committee's decision what you want to do. But number 1, Mr. Dorr has appeared before the Police Service Board twice, and in one of those delegations he did speak extensively about lapel cameras and the advantages of them, and that was received by the board. He did make a 3rd request to come back to the Police Services Board about lapel cameras again, and this time the board decided to deny that request for now, to table it, because there is 2 pilot projects going on in the country for lapel cameras, one in York and one in Edmonton, and when their pilot projects are finished, both those forces will be doing a white paper on it for consideration by the various agencies across the country. At that time, the board of the Police Service, Hamilton Police Services Board, has asked the senior command to do a report back to our board on the findings of those pilot projects and any recommendations he may or may not have regarding lapel cameras. So we voted to just table Mr. Dorr's 3rd request until that report is back in front of us, so we're fully informed when he comes and does his presentation, and council may want to consider doing the same.
Okay.
Oh, and secondly, another reason we're just uncomfortable because it's going through the process now. For those of you who don't know, Steve Messick was unfortunately shot by police during a confrontation, and that inquest is going on as we speak. And there's going to be further public opportunities for more information to come out. And Mr. Dorr is the father of the fiance of Mr. Messick, just to give you that connection. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a request, but I have a number of speakers on the item. Councillor Marula first, Councillor Whitehead, Councillor Duvall.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm prepared to move that we accept the delegation. Clearly, this is specifically related to the lapel cameras issue. It has nothing to do with any peripheral issues that are going on. He has every right as a citizen to bring it forward to this committee and this council. So at the appropriate time, I will move it, seconded by Councillor Collins, that we accept the delegation, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, so speaking to approval of the delegation request, Councillor Whitehead.
Thank you, and I certainly would second that and support it. I believe that when you're talking about transparency and accountability and access, that you should enable individuals, especially at council, to give that opportunity. I know Mr. Dorr's issue when it comes to the lapel cameras clearly has a statement to say. I certainly agree with his statement, and the fact that we're relying on other jurisdictions and their circumstances when, for example, Texas and other jurisdictions have long used lapel cameras and had huge successes. It seems to me that we're relying a heck of a lot on other areas as opposed to exercising our own pilot, and I think that's the point that he wants to make. Thank you.
Councillor Duvall, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, and I fully support allowing these people come to speak before council. This happened in my ward, and Sharon is a resident of my ward, and she wants to make a presentation to council to give us an update of how they feel, what extra protection can be taken. I understand the police board, and they've taken their decision, but this has nothing to do with the police board at this time. This is done with council, and she wants to be heard. So I fully support it.
Okay, Councillor McCaddy, please.
Thanks, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I support the request as well, but I want to also comment that it's important that we hear from the Police Services Board once they get the report back on the details of this issue. So it's certainly my support today is not to disrespect the Police Services Board, but rather to respect the delegation process, which we traditionally do hear delegations when people wish to speak to us. I don't know a lot about this issue, to be honest with you, so I'll look forward to hearing from the citizen, and then, of course, I look forward to hearing more from the Police Services Board over time. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Bertina.
Mr. Chair, the matter lies with the Hamilton Police Services Board, and it may come to council in terms of a budget item in the usual budget process. And we are expecting, as Councillor Ferguson suggested, to receive information. And so I don't believe there's a timely, a time consideration on this. And I would suggest that the best way to have a full discussion with the presentation, and I certainly have no problems with the presentation coming forward, but I don't think it's timely until we get more information, such as Councillor Ferguson suggested will be coming forward, and the very fact that it is not in the purview of this council right now to deal with those devices.
Councillor Collins.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And I've heard the presentation once, but I think it would be beneficial for council to hear it again, just in light of what the mayor had said earlier in terms of the budget. We've been told that this, even if a pilot project was approved by the board at some point in time, it would cost well over $1 million, not just for the purchase of the cameras, but for the operation of it as well. So this has budget implications. We all know what's happened in the past in terms of Police Service Board budgets. And so I think it'd be beneficial for the council to hear Mr. Dorr. We can keep that information in mind when and if a pilot project or other program comes forward from the board.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, thank you very much. I guess the only concern that I have is that we really don't have any authority. At the end of the day, even if we were asked to support lapel cameras, we don't have any authority. It's the Police Services Board, and they're independent from us, and they have total say on the matter. All we can do is deal with the budget on a whole when it comes in. So, like the tasers, when it became an issue, it's a matter for the Police Services Board to deal with. If you recall, at that point, they wanted us to do the public consultation, and we declined to do that public consultation because it was not within our authority. It was not within our authority to sit and listen to different people speaking about the tasers. It was totally within the Police Services Board authority to do that. They should be the ones that are hearing the delegations. They should be the ones that are making the decisions. And it's not a matter for our council to delve into. And I think I'll just leave my comments at that.
Okay. Any other speakers? Otherwise, there is a standard recorded vote. So on a motion by Marula, seconded by Collins, is that the delegation request be approved, and there is a request for a standard recorded vote. Councillor, Mr. Mayor Bertina, please.
Sir, I'm not opposed to the delegation. It's just the timeliness of it. So, I approve this coming. What are you laughing at? I approve the delegation, but I'm concerned about the timing.
There's been a call for a standing recorded vote.
Yeah, just one more piece of information is that, and Councillor Collins is absolutely right. If we decide to go forward with this, there's significant budget implications. I've heard the number, if fully implemented, is $2 million, and we need to get our head around that and understand it. And so I'm like the mayor. I don't oppose the delegation. I just think we should wait until we get all the information in front of us.
So I have a properly moved and seconded motion that's been called for a standing recorded vote. All those in favor? McCarthy, Barr, Morrow, Marula, Collins, Duvall, Whitehead, Powers, Partridge, Pasuda, Johnson, Clark, opposed, Ferguson, the delegation request is approved.
Can it be recorded that the mayor just ran out of the room, so he wouldn't be recorded? Thank you.
That's not the way the recording's done, Councillor. Members of committee, you have before you a request from Please.
Through the chair, since the delegation request has been approved, could I have some clarification, please, in terms of when Mr. Dorr, or which meeting Mr. Dorr should be invited to attend? I would remind the committee that we have one meeting left in June, GIC, and then we will be into the summer schedule, which in the past years we have not received delegation requests. It would be September. The first GIC meeting in September.
So it would be June the 18th would be the next GIC meeting. There's concurrence that it would be at the June 18th meeting.